name's Dan Lowe. I'm the owner of Firing Line Solutions LLC. And we're going to do a quick video today on what SCATT is best for what discipline, what price point, talk about the features of each, and give everyone out there a tool to use when deciding what to do about SCATT. A little bit about my background. Been competitive shooter for 18 years now. A lot of Washington State championships. Shot for the AMU for a couple years. A couple World Cups, Olympics in 2016. Been doing a lot of service rifle since then. Won the NTI in 2019. Top of that, I dabble a little bit in Palma. Do a little bit of archery, a little bit of air pistol. Every now and then I play with a service pistol. I've kind of a little bit of taste of it all, and these are something that I do a fair amount of sales in every year, and I get a lot of people asking me, hey, what SCATT's going to work best for me? This is my budget, this is what I want to do, this is how I like to shoot this discipline, and do a quick video for everyone out there. Getting right into it, we're gonna start right from the top. We have the visual light spectrum systems and the IR light spectrum systems. The MX line, MXW2, MXO2, these are going to be, they're black and white cameras is what they are. They see the target in black and white, whether that's a target you printed on your printer at home or a target that you cut out of a regular sheet of targets or a single bull target, like for air pistol or, service rifle. These flagship models, quite easy to use, fit in your pocket, but with that they're a little bit more expensive. Dropping down, we've got the SCATT USB, which is what I recommend for most people looking for a great SCATT at the best price possible, and the WS1. The big difference between these two, both of these run the SCATT Professional software, which is going to work best on your Windows-based laptop. WS1 has what you get for that additional $250 is the sensor that attaches to your rifle or pistol is wireless. It Bluetooths to a little target box, and so you don't have any cables hanging. This might not be a big deal to some. I notice it in my training. I like the wireless models. If your budget doesn't allow, go with the MXO2 or USB, and I would route the cable back as close to your arm for pistol, or like all the way to the back of the stock for rifle. Great systems. Both of these will have a target box. You can see that on this USB picture here. It is a target box. It beams IR light back and forth between the sensor and the target, and that's how it gets its positioning. These are not live fire devices, the SCATT USB and the WS1. They're not intended for that. I've seen some clubs use them with 10-meter air rifles only. If you have pretty competent shooters, I'd say you can go that route as long as you're careful. The frames are quite expensive to replace, but just be mindful that's not designed for that. That being said, the USB and the WS1, they're the easiest to calibrate. I see SCATT USBs from the early 90s that are still out in the field being used by athletes. They last and last and last and last. The only thing I've seen go wrong on these, apart from shooters dropping them, is the connection ports, wearing out after 20 years of training, which is very expensive to fix. Rarely available. We have a service center here in the U.S. Not a big deal. The WS1s, every 10 years or so, it needs to get a new battery. Costs less than $100. Both of these systems, very easy to use, very bulletproof, and they hold their value pretty well. Jumping back up to the MX line, MXO2 is going to have a cable running from the device back to the laptop. MXW2, both of these top line is going to be using SCATT Expert software, a little sleeker, a little bit less options for the shooter. The SCATT Professional software, that'll be for the USB WS1, that gives you a little bit more control over what you can do. To include, there's a little tab under tools, if I remember right, that gives you experimental shooting for the blind. It's a really good training tool for all the athletes out there. Flagship model MXW2. This is going to be the model if you want something that fits in your pocket, and then you can train small bore, air rifle, service pistol, service rifle, Palma, archery, everything will fit on the MXW2. For the archers, there's a little $120 adapter that plugs on to the end. There's a filter that goes on the end of the device, changes what the camera sees a little bit, and then there's a bow mount for that for an additional $120. That is going to be the device to have for archery training, for American bullseye archery. Also, MXW2 and MXO2 can do biathlon as well. It's pretty easy. You can print out a string of biathlon targets, hang them up. You can do live fire on it. You can do dry fire on there. You can do reduced distances, whatever works best for you and your training setup with your range. Extremely capable devices. The MXW2 is going to run SCATT Expert. It can also run standalone off of a iPad, Windows-based tablet. I can't speak to Kindle Fire tablets, but you can also run it from a cell phone, either Android or Apple. Is going to work just fine for you, and there's a separate standalone app for that. You see the big difference between the MXO2 and W2. Looking at them here, MXW2 has this little box plugged onto the back. That's going to contain a LiPo battery and its own Wi-Fi router, so you can run it as a direct cabled unit. You can run it Wi-Fi over the home network, or you can run it as its own separate router that your device attaches itself to, or connects to, I should say. These things are fantastic. Great live fire. Great live fire capability. Going into that too, what's best for your discipline? So if you're shooting, start from the top. We've got a list here. So for small bore prone, I would recommend the SCATT USB. All you need is a Windows laptop with at least 2 USB ports. You can also get a USB extender that gives you a couple ports and plugs into the side there. You don't necessarily need the MXW2 if you're just shooting prone. The cables are low; they're not going to interfere with the rifle so much or position. Works great inside. You'd be shooting about 33 feet, 10 meters, and it's going to work great for you. I will say, having dealt with some issues with these, but the big one being if you have a floor vent, or if you have shooting on a tiled floor, say in a basement or like down the kitchen hallway, or if you have like a wall-mounted AC unit, those things can affect the light coming back and forth. You can get a reflection bouncing off. You can't see it with the naked eye, but you can get a reflection of the IR light bouncing off the tile. Or hardwood, something to look out for. Carpet works great, concrete fine. Just something to be mindful. And I only see problems with people in prone. If you want to step it up a notch, I'd also go to the MXO2 if you're shooting small bore prone. That also goes for the Palma crowd as well. If you want to get the live fire in there, I would step it up to the MXO2. And you can shoot reduced range Palma with that. Thing with the MXO2, you can do live fire outside or inside if you have it. The issue with that is that you lose reliability past 100 yards. You get fog, rain, mirage is a big one for those of you in hotter climates. The issue there is that mirage will distort the target just a little bit. It might not be a big deal to you. It's a big deal to the software trying to track that circle. With that being said, you can do it. The closer in the distance, the more reliability is going to be. Also, if you put it out at 100 yards and there's multiple targets of the same size, and you say you're shooting a match and you want to get some data with that, and your range officer allows that, it'll track all the other targets that it sees. Keep that in mind. It's good to have a couple lanes to the left and right of you clear, or have different size targets that the software is not looking for. say like a service rifle target next to a Palma target. Moving on, for 3P, if you're shooting 3P, small bore, SCATT WS1, SCATT MX02. Those cables, they're not a big deal in prone. In standing, they get to be a little bit annoying. They will pull and change how your rifle behaves a little bit. Spend a little bit more money, you're going to be glad you did. Same thing with air rifle as well. Specifically talking standing only, international air gun or sporter. You don't want the cables. They are a little bit of a hindrance. Not the end of the world, but they are a little bit of a hindrance. I recommend spending the extra money to not have that. If that fits your budget, I would recommend getting it either the USB or the MX02 and just taping that cable to the very back of the rifle, and then running it down so the cord doesn't hang directly off the end of the barrel. Going down from there, archers. So for the archers out there, you are going to want the MXW2. The other three devices are not going to work for you. It's going to cost another $120. You get a bow mount and a little filter that plugs onto the end so it can see the rings better, but that is going to be the bee's knees for bullseye archery. We all know you can't dry fire bows, it's not great for them. But for live fire, to get a bunch of extra feedback, that's going to be the one to have. You can also shoot biathlon with the MXW2 series. You can do reduced distance, all that jazz. What I will say, there's two other models that I don't have on here. I don't see a lot of demand. There's a biathlon only version of SCATT. It looks a lot like the USB. It's got 5 targets on it. That's a great system if you want to dry fire for biathlon. They're not incredibly expensive. I want to say they're about $1,300. They're pretty good. Or jump up a little bit, get the MXW2 or get the MX02. You can do live fire with it. Keep it out of the snow. They don't like that. But I would go for either the SCATT USB or the MX02. The other one I get a fair amount of questions on, and I don't sell too many of them. I try to talk people out of them. I have had nothing but issues with them. Is the SCATT Basic. Those are going to come in around $750, $800 price point. They don't have a ton of adjustability. They run a separate software package, a standalone package just for that device. With that too, for the service rifle crowd, they don't have targets in that software to shoot service rifle with. They are kind of finicky, in my opinion, in my experience. I would just pay the extra money, go grab a USB, and be a lot happier for it. Also have my website and my phone number down here. Also, you can find me at firinglinesolutionsllc at gmail. Sometimes I have used SCATT models that I take in on trade. I don't have them all the time, but there's a good chance I can set you up with a used SCATT. I'll guarantee it. I'll make sure it works for you, and you can save a little bit of money that way. Any questions anyone has on top of this, feel free to reach out to me. My direct number's right there. Shoot me an email. Shoot me a text if you want to. These are the cheapest system on the market, but they are the best by far. There is nothing like SCATT out there. There's some things that work on gyroscopes, but you don't get how you're pointing at the target. These give you the full package with a ton of data. Keep an eye out on the Facebook page, on the website. I'm going to be putting out a series of videos in the coming weeks. We're going to be talking about different styles of training and how to use the SCATT best. What do all the numbers mean? How do you interpret data? We're going to be going into the depths of it. We're going to be looking at really high-end shooter SCATT files. We're going to be looking at beginners. We're going to look at intermediates, like what to do for offhand, because I know that plagues most rifle shooters. We're going to be getting into the depths of it. We're also going to probably do a little bit of range time too. So you say, hey, like if I move my elbow like this in prone, forward palm, a small bore, etc., air gun 3B, what's it going to do downrange? With that, I hope you all have an awesome day. Get out and train, and hope to hear from you soon. Take it easy.